Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Now, it's real time.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. One of the best parts about GPS is that we can bring you real interviews live as it's happening at 9:23 a.m. on Saturday morning. We've got Cody Herman. He's the owner-operator of Day One Outdoors. You've seen him here on Outdoor GPS over the years. You've seen him on his own television show, Day One Outdoors. And for all of you that love his reports from Buoy 10, he is well known for that. And Cody, we actually had somebody this morning call up and say, told us to make sure to tell you how much they appreciated your updates through the Buoy 10 season this year. So big thanks for that.
Yeah, of course. You know, I just always tell the people that I hope it helps, and hopefully it puts a few more fish in the box for them. That's what they're there for.
I'm going to tell you right now, man, you've been doing that for a handful of years, and you know as well as I do how much people appreciate that, and there's no question that you've helped people catch more fish and make decisions as opposed to just going into a blind down there, much like where you are today, because things have changed, right? Last weekend, we were going to talk to you about being down in the Buoy 10 area. They extended our season below Bonneville and changed deadlines, this and that. Give everybody an idea of what you did as a professional, understanding what those changes were.
Sure. Well, first, you know, for anyone who's ever fished here in the Pacific Northwest, you know that you have to essentially be an attorney to understand all these rules and regulations because they change so quickly. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, it's open below Warrior Rock, that deadline. So it's spreading the boats out a little bit. We have been fishing here above the mouth of Lewis, right at that deadline, and it's been bumper boats, been really crowded. So it's been nice having everyone spread out here a little bit today. Last several days have been really, really good on the incoming tide up here. And this morning it was an incoming tide for about an hour and a half, and it fell apart. Yesterday we had all of our fish, all of our kings, by 9 o'clock in the morning. And today we've only had one wild coho, and I've seen maybe 5 or 6 nets for about 200 plus boats. So things change quickly, and as a guide, I can say all the excuses out there, wind's blowing from this direction, barometer changed, who knows what, but the graph is looking pretty empty. I think those fish just moved up. I think they're up around I-5, Troutdale area, because they are not here, I'll tell you that.
Now, obviously, everyone, Cody's got the experience out there to understand that if you're going to have a really good day, especially on fish that are migrating, if they disappear, if your little TV unit right there, your little video game decides to start showing you blank screens, you need to believe it, don't you? Because the fish just move.
They do. You know, these fish, they'll move 5, 10, 15 miles a day. And if you're not on top of them, I always tell people it doesn't matter if you got the best gear out there, the best spinner color, best flasher. If you're not in front of a fish, you're not going to catch them. So you have to trust your electronics. You have to know that you're on top of fish, and then it's just a matter of time of getting them to go. And we're in a spot here right now where I'm actually marking fish, and I'm about to make a turn here and go back through them because I marked 2 really good groups of fish. They didn't go, but the boat behind us just went through them, and they just picked one up. So I am getting that close to picking up another fish here. I'm starting to figure them out this morning.
Okay, now listen, when they do move on you, you've already mentioned you got to figure out a way to stay on top of them. Is there something that you would normally do, or are you just going to stay in that particular area today, or would you normally take that info and then make a move from there, maybe move upriver, downriver, maybe try to find them, or are you just going to kind of stick it out based on what that tide does where you are today down by the mouth?
Yeah, you know, tide definitely plays a major role in this fishery, in this area here. I'm fishing near the mouth of the Lewis. On an outgoing tide, what happens is that cold water comes out of the Lewis, so it's true for the Lewis, Klamath, Cowlitz on the Washington side. It sucks all that cold water out of those 3 rivers and creates a cold water respite where these fish will pull in and take a little break. And as soon as that tide flips, starts coming in, that cold water gets pushed back into those tributaries, and it releases those fish, and they start moving again. So right now we got an outgoing tide, and so that cold water is being pulled out. A good place to fish would be at the mouth of the Lewis itself and right below it where all that cold water is coming in. I'm not a huge fan of fishing in crowds and bumper boats. So what I'm doing right now is I didn't see any fish down where I was catching them yesterday. So I came up here into these piling rows, and piling rows create a break in the current. And when the tide's running really hard, those fish will find little resting areas where they can pull off and just take a little breath, take a little moment before they keep their migration going upstream. So out on the main current, it's probably moving about 2.5, 3 miles an hour. Right here where I'm at, it's only moving maybe about 1.5, because I'm still going uphill at 1 mile an hour. So it's a good little spot to just kind of tuck in out of that main current and see if you can't find those fish that are taking a little break. And those groups of fish I saw back there, they're just sitting there. They aren't moving at all, so I can just run laps on them, and I'm hoping I can get them to go.
Is that typical where you'd find a group of fish, you know, a school that might not be moving, where they're just going to come up and just kind of stall out?
In here, in these resting areas, yes. But usually when I see them out in the main channel, they're moving, and they're moving quick. You know, trying to turn and run a lap on those fish again can be really tough. You might need to run a mile uphill and just hope you run into them again. But in these piling rows, whether it's here around the Lewis or all the way on up towards Bonneville, these little resting areas, these corners, these inside seams, those fish will stall out. They will hang out for, it might be 2 minutes, it might be 2 hours. I have seen groups of fish in these piling rows where they're there all day, and other times I make one lap on them, and I try and go back through them again, and they're already gone.
I get it. That's one of the reasons why it is a very popular area for people to drop the anchor on an outgoing tide and run wobblers and maybe let those fish come to them. Obviously, the way Cody is fishing it today with clients, he's just being proactive, and he's trying to chase them down or again, utilize his electronics and stay with them. Now, that's the hard part, though, isn't it? Is trying to make that decision of, okay, do you bounce? Do you hang out? Do you do what you are planning to do now and whip a 180 and go back and try to go through them again? Is there something that just lets you know, okay, I need to just go right back. Don't leave fish to find them. That old adage, is that kind of, what is it that trips your trigger to make you go back and stay on them?
Well, so on my last lap through there, I saw 2 groups of fish, maybe 10, 12 fish total. And right now there's a fish on right behind me. There's a fish on in front of me. So that's making me think that those groups of fish are starting to move through. They're starting to push up a little bit. And so I'm just going to keep this troll going uphill super slow and hope that those fish catch up to me, because I'm bracketed right now. You know, it's fish on behind me and in front of me. So it's just a matter of time till our gear gets in front of them, and hopefully they chew, because of my last 2 laps through those fish, they actually swam away from my gear. They swam down and away from it. So they were not ready to go yet, even though we came in real nice and slow. We weren't too aggressive on them, but they just still moved away from the gear. So they were not ready to chew yet. So I'm hoping that either tide or just they finally get fired up, they're ready to go. And considering that there's fish on around me, that's a good sign. So now it's just a matter of time till one of our rods folds over. I'm ready to finally put one in the box here. It's been a slow morning.
Well, I get it. Obviously, he's got a lot of pressure on him, everyone. He's got clients in the boat. There's fish around getting caught. It's time for him to get into the mix as well. When we come back, let's find out what he's using, right? One of the number one questions that you're going to hear people ask everyone, and maybe the number one question that you might want to ask, well, how deep are you finding them? How much lead are you using? How far out to that 16 ounce? I mean, those are things that can be very, very important based on what you're seeing on your fish finder and what the fish are telling you to do. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Cody Herman from Day One Outdoors. Don't go away, everyone. We'll be back with more in just a couple minutes.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Chevy Silverado and the impressive new Turbo Max engine. Flex your muscle with the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. Official truck of Outdoor GPS.